This is new story called The Cowardly King, so in order to get all my stories, subscribe to this channel. Then click the notification button. Let's start our story now. In the mist-veiled valleys of Yunxi, where bamboo forests danced with the wind and dragon statues guarded every gate, ruled King Li Wei, an emperor not of iron and fire, but of hesitation and fear. He sat on the jade throne, his crown heavy not from gold, but from dread. Rumors of rebellion grew in the west, yet he delayed council meetings. When generals begged for action, he waved them away with a trembling hand. Let us wait. Perhaps the rebels will change their hearts. Li Wei feared thunder, feared shadows, feared choices. Even the sound of a dropped scroll made him flinch. At night, he triple-locked his chamber, convinced assassins hid behind every curtain. His guards mocked him in silence, and ministers whispered, "A scared heart cannot lead a strong empire." But the people still bowed, some out of duty, others out of pity. One rainy morning, a mysterious scroll arrived, sealed with blood-red wax. The messenger, pale and breathless, said only, "It is from the Black Phoenix." King Li Wei's hand shook as he opened it. Inside were just 5 words, "I am coming for you." His eyes widened, he dropped the scroll, and for the first time, the cowardly king whispered, "Prepare the ship. I must flee." Flight of the dragon, the rain had not stopped for days. Thunder rolled over Yunxi like the warning drums of war. Inside the palace, chaos reigned as servants rushed to pack the king's robes, jewels, and sacred scrolls. King Li Wei paced in panic. "Where is General Shen?" he barked. A trembling advisor bowed low. "Gone, Your Majesty. Vanished last night. With half the army." Li Wei's breath caught. His knees weakened. "Traitor!" he whispered, though his voice lacked conviction. He was no longer a ruler, just a frightened man in gold and silk. He peered outside, watching the riverboats below. "Is my ship ready?" "Almost, sire," said Eunuch Bo, the only servant still loyal. "Then we leave tonight." "I care not for ceremony." As night fell, Li Wei wore a hooded cloak and slipped through the palace tunnels, past dragon carvings and abandoned guard posts. Every echo felt like a sword drawn. At the riverbank, his royal ship, the Jade Swallow, awaited with lanterns dimmed. A few loyal guards stood ready, but their eyes held doubt. Li Wei stepped aboard. As the anchor lifted, he looked back once at the glowing towers of Yunxi. "Will they survive without me?" he asked softly. Eunuch Bo didn't answer. Suddenly, a flaming arrow struck the dock behind them. From the shadows came a cold voice, "Too late to run, little king." Li Wei fell to the deck, eyes wide. His nightmare had found him. Shadows on the river, flames danced on the dock as more arrows sliced through the misty night. Guards on the Jade Swallow drew their swords, shouting, "Protect the king." But King Li Wei had already crawled behind a crate, hands over his ears. "Who is it?" he cried. "Who dares?" Eunuch Bo crouched beside him. "The Black Phoenix. They found us." A shadow leapt onto the deck, masked, silent, blade drawn. One guard rushed to strike but was cut down instantly. The assassin moved like wind, graceful and deadly. Another arrow pierced the mast. The ship tilted slightly, creaking. "We have to move," Bo shouted, grabbing the king's arm. "No. We must hide." Li Wei clutched the wood, eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, the masked figure pointed at the king but didn't strike. Instead, they threw a small pouch at his feet. Smoke erupted, thick, choking, blinding. By the time it cleared, the assassin was gone. Li Wei coughed, gasping. "Why didn't they kill me?" Bo picked up the pouch and found a folded silk note inside. On it were the same 5 words, now written in gold ink, "You are not worth killing." The king turned pale. The riverboat moved on, its sail catching the cold night breeze. Behind them, Yunxi burned quietly. Ahead, the river curved into unknown lands. Li Wei sat alone, eyes hollow. For the first time, fear had given way to something worse, shame. Whispers in the bamboo. The Jade Swallow drifted for 2 days down the River Han, past silent villages and fields abandoned by farmers. Mist clung to the hills like ghosts. King Li Wei sat beneath the sail, still clutching the golden-lettered note, "You are not worth killing." Those words echoed louder than swords. His eyes were bloodshot, sleepless. "Your Majesty," Bo said softly, "we'll reach the bamboo temple by nightfall. The monks there are sworn to silence and peace. You'll be safe." Li Wei didn't respond. He was staring into the water, watching his reflection ripple and break. "What kind of king am I?" he muttered. "Feared by none. Followed by fewer." Eunuch Bo knelt beside him. "You are still king. You can rise again." But Li Wei shook his head. "A king who runs deserves no crown." As dusk fell, the boat moored by a crumbling dock. The bamboo temple sat atop a hill, hidden in a forest of tall, whispering stalks. Lanterns lined the stone path, dim, flickering, ancient. They climbed slowly. Crickets sang. The wind carried the scent of incense and pine. Inside the temple, monks greeted them with silent bows. One old monk, blind in both eyes, reached for the king's hand. "You carry great fear," the monk said calmly. Li Wei pulled away. "I carry failure." The monk only smiled. "Then you are ready to learn." That night, in a cold chamber lit by candlelight, the king knelt before a simple altar, and for the first time in his life, he closed his eyes and prayed not for safety, but for courage. The monk's lesson: at dawn, soft bells rang across the bamboo temple. Mist still clung to the forest floor as monks moved silently through courtyards, sweeping leaves, tending lanterns. King Li Wei stood alone in the meditation hall, staring at a painting of a dragon coiled around a mountain. The blind monk, Master Zun, entered quietly. "You see the dragon," he said. "But do you see the fear it holds?" Li Wei frowned. "The dragon is power. Why would it fear?" Zun touched the wall gently. "Because even power can be lost." They sat on straw mats. Zun handed the king a single stone. "Place this in the river. Do not speak until you know why." Confused, Li Wei obeyed. He walked down to the stream beside the temple. Stared at the stone in his palm. Hours passed. Birds sang. Wind shifted. Finally, he dropped the stone. Ripples spread across the water. In that moment, something stirred within him. When he returned, Master Zun was waiting. "And?" Li Wei answered softly. "The stone could not stop the river." Zun smiled. "Nor can a king stop change. Fear is trying to hold the stone. Courage is letting go." That night, Li Wei sat alone beneath the stars. He removed his crown and placed it beside him. He whispered, "If I am to rule again, I must become someone they respect. Not someone they pity." In the darkness behind him, Eunuch Bo listened quietly, tears in his eyes, far from the temple. In the ruins of Yunxi, the black phoenix stood atop a fallen statue of the king. A messenger knelt. "The coward has vanished, my lady." The black phoenix smirked. "Let him learn. I will test the king he becomes." Return of the Dragon. Seasons passed. Under the monk's quiet guidance, King Li Wei transformed. He rose before dawn, split wood, studied ancient texts, and trained in sword forms, not for war, but for clarity of mind. Fear still visited him, but he no longer ran. He listened. He breathed. He endured. One morning, Master Zun called him to the garden. "It is time," the old monk said. "Not to fight, but to lead." Li Wei bowed. "I am ready to return." Wearing a plain robe, he descended the mountain. No guards, no crown. Word spread quickly: the king walks alone. In villages once abandoned, farmers paused in their fields. They saw a man, not a ruler. Yet in his eyes, they saw fire. By the time he reached Yunxi, crowds followed. The capital, once ruled by chaos, was now in the grip of the Black Phoenix. Her soldiers patrolled the streets. Fear had taken Li Wei's place. She stood atop the jade steps as Li Wei entered alone. No throne, no sword, she mocked. Just a beggar who once wore silk. Li Wei looked at the people gathered below, then met her gaze. "I was a coward," he said. "But not anymore. I came not to take power by force, but to reclaim it with truth. A silence swept the crowd. Then, one by one, people knelt. Even guards lowered their weapons. The Black Phoenix's smile faded. "This is not over," she growled. Li Wei stepped closer. "Then strike me down now." But she didn't. She turned and vanished into the shadows. Atop the steps, the people cried, "Long live the Dragon King!" Li Wei looked out, no longer trembling. He was still afraid, but now, he ruled with it, and that made him mighty, and this is end of the story. Support me guys, subscribe, comment, like, and share. Bye bye.